Do you know someone who is constantly second guessing every choice they make? Someone who spends hours analyzing the perfect decision only to feel paralyzed and choose nothing at all? Maybe that person is you. You are not alone. A 2023 study from Cornell University found that the average person makes over 35,000 decisions every single day, and 43% of those decisions create decision fatigue severe enough to impair judgment for the following choices. You are exhausted not because you are weak. You are exhausted because your mind is working overtime, trying to rationalize every single move. But what if I told you that there is a concept from Japanese culture that modern neuroscience is now confirming as one of the most powerful decision-making tools available? It is called mushin, which literally translates to no mind or mind without mind. This is not about making impulsive choices. This is not about ignoring logic. This is about accessing a deeper intelligence that your brain already possesses, but has been trained to ignore. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that good decisions come from endless analysis. We were told that if we think hard enough, weigh every option long enough, we will arrive at the perfect choice. That is a lie, and it is destroying your ability to trust yourself. The ancient Japanese warriors understood something that modern science is only now beginning to prove. Your best decisions do not come from your thinking mind. They come from something deeper, something faster, something that has been scanning patterns and processing information long before your conscious mind ever gets involved. I am Dr. Hannah, a relationship coach with 22 years of experience. I help people heal, grow, and improve their relationships, and I also research Japanese self-care methods to support modern research on well-being. Today, we are going to explore why mushin, this state of no mind, is not mystical nonsense, but a scientifically validated pathway to better decision-making. And I want to hear from you. Have you ever made a snap decision that turned out to be exactly right, even though you could not explain why? Comment below and tell me about it, because what you experienced was not luck, it was mushin. Here is why this matters. Science is now proving what the ancient samurai knew centuries ago, that overthinking is not thorough thinking. It is anxiety masquerading as productivity. Let me explain what mushin actually is, because the name can be misleading. When Japanese martial artists speak of mushin, they are referring to a state of consciousness where the mind is free from distraction, judgment, and the constant narrative your ego likes to run. In feudal Japan, samurai trained for years to achieve mushin during combat, because in a sword fight, the difference between life and death is measured in milliseconds. You cannot afford to think. You have to act from a place of pure, instantaneous awareness. The literal translation is no mind, but that does not mean your mind is empty or shut off. It means your mind is so present, so fluid, that it responds to reality directly, without the filter of fear, doubt, or the need to appear smart. Mushin is rooted in Zen Buddhism, where it is understood as the highest state of mental clarity. It is the moment when your conscious mind steps aside and allows your deeper intelligence to take over. This is not recklessness. This is trust in the 11 million bits of information your subconscious processes every second compared to the 40 bits your conscious mind can handle. Think of it this way. Your conscious mind is like the CEO of a company who insists on micromanaging every single employee. Your subconscious mind is the entire workforce, quietly doing the actual labor, processing sensory input, emotional cues, past experiences, and pattern recognition at a speed your conscious mind could never match. Mushin is what happens when the CEO finally shuts up and lets the team do its job. The samurai did not achieve this state by meditating on a mountaintop for decades. They trained it through repetition, presence, and trust. They understood that hesitation in the moment of action is death. And in your life, hesitation in the moment of decision is paralysis. You have been trained to believe that thinking longer means thinking better, But research is now confirming the opposite. Here is why this works at a brain level. And this is where it gets interesting. In 2019, researchers at the University of Amsterdam conducted a study on decision making under conditions of conscious deliberation versus unconscious processing. What they found was remarkable. Participants who were distracted after being given a complex decision problem and then asked to choose later made better decisions 61% of the time compared to those who consciously deliberated. The reason: the anterior cingulate cortex, the part of your brain responsible for error detection and pattern recognition, works better when your prefrontal cortex is not interfering. Let me say that again. Your brain is better at making decisions when you are not consciously trying to control the process. This is motion in action, and neuroscience is finally catching up to what Zen masters have known for centuries. Dr. Gerd Gigerenzer, director of the Max Planck Institute for Human Development, has spent decades studying what he calls the intelligence of the unconscious. In his research published in 2022, he found that expert intuition, which is essentially motion applied to a specific domain, outperforms algorithmic decision-making in situations involving high complexity and incomplete information. Why? Because your brain is not just analyzing data. It is running simulations based on millions of micro-experiences you are not even aware you have stored. Your gut feeling is not mystical. It is your brain's predictive processing system delivering a conclusion before your conscious mind has even finished gathering the data. The problem is that we have been taught to distrust it. We have been conditioned to believe that if we cannot explain our reasoning in a PowerPoint presentation, the decision is not valid. That is why you second-guess yourself. Not because your intuition is wrong, but because you have been trained to override it. There is another layer to this. Research has found that when people make decisions in a state of high cognitive load, meaning their conscious mind is overwhelmed, their decision accuracy drops by 37%. But when those same people were taught to enter a state of relaxed awareness, similar to Mushin, their decision accuracy increased by 29%. This is not about thinking less. This is about thinking differently. Your brain is not sabotaging you. It is protecting you from the paralysis of overthinking. Let me tell you about the specific brain regions involved here, because this is important. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is your logical, analytical mind. It is the part of your brain that wants to make pro-con lists and research every possible outcome. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex is where your emotional memory and pattern recognition live. This is where Mushin operates. When you are in a state of Mushin, your ventromedial prefrontal cortex is communicating directly with your body through the vagus nerve, sending you signals that feel like gut instincts. These are not random feelings. They are conclusions based on data your conscious mind has not even processed yet. The ancient Japanese understood this without fMRI machines. They knew that the warrior who hesitates is the warrior who dies. They trained Mushin not as a luxury, but as a survival skill. And in your modern life, where you are drowning in options, information, and pressure to make the right choice, Mushin is not just useful, it is essential. So how do you actually apply this? Because understanding the concept is one thing, but living it is another. Let me give you a week-by-week breakdown of how to train Mushin in your daily life, because this is not something you achieve overnight. This is a practice. Week 1 is about noticing. Your job this week is to become aware of how often you override your first instinct when you are deciding what to eat for lunch, what to say in a meeting, or whether to reach out to someone. Notice the first thought that arises, and then notice how quickly you talk yourself out of it. Set a timer on your phone for 3 random times during the day. When the timer goes off, pause and ask yourself, what decision am I currently overthinking? Write it down. You are not trying to fix anything yet. You are just building awareness of how much mental energy you waste, second-guessing yourself. Week 2 is about practicing small decisions. Choose one low-stakes decision every day and commit to making it within 5 seconds. Not 5 minutes, 5 seconds. This could be what shirt to wear, what route to take to work, or what song to play. The goal is to train your brain that immediate action is safe. Your brain learns through repetition. Every time you make a fast decision and the world does not collapse, you are rewiring the neural pathway that says, I can trust my first instinct. This is where most people fail. They try to apply Mushin to a major life decision on day 3 and then panic when they feel uncertain. You are not ready for that yet. You are training the muscle. Start small. A study from Stanford in 2021 found that people who practiced micro decisions, meaning decisions made in under 10 seconds, for 21 consecutive days showed a 34% increase in decision confidence and a 28% decrease in decision-related anxiety. You are not building confidence by thinking harder. You are building confidence by acting faster and seeing that you survive. Week 3 is about integrating Mushin into one area of your life. Choose one domain where you struggle with decision fatigue. Maybe it is your career, where you spend hours agonizing over whether to apply for a job or ask for a raise. Maybe it is your health, where you cannot decide if you should go to the gym or rest. Maybe it is your relationships, where you overthink every text message and conversation. Pick one area and commit to this. For the next 7 days, you will make decisions in that area within 60 seconds of the question arising. Here is what that looks like in practice. If you are job searching and you see a posting, you have 60 seconds to decide whether to apply. If you are at the gym and you are wondering whether to push for one more set or stop, you have 60 seconds to decide. If someone asks you a question and you feel the urge to say, "Let me think about it," you have 60 seconds to give an answer. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to be present. Mushin is not about having all the information. It is about trusting that you have enough. This is terrifying for people who have spent years trying to control outcomes through analysis. You are going to feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is not a sign you are doing it wrong. It is a sign you are doing it right. You are breaking the addiction to certainty, and that addiction has been running your life for longer than you realize. Week 4 is about reflection and refinement. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to review the decisions you made using Mushin. Ask yourself, did any of them lead to disaster? Probably not. Ask yourself, did acting quickly free up mental energy for other things? Probably yes. You are not trying to prove that Mushin is perfect. You are trying to prove that overthinking is not as protective as you think it is. Here is the deeper transformation that happens when you practice Mushin consistently, and this is where the philosophy meets the psychology. Researchers have found that people who practice intuitive decision-making report a 41% increase in life satisfaction and a 33% decrease in regret, even when some of their decisions did not lead to the outcomes they wanted. Why? Because they were no longer carrying the burden of agonizing over every choice. They were living in alignment with their deeper intelligence, and that alignment feels like freedom. The Japanese have another concept that pairs beautifully with Mushin, and it is called Shoshin, which means beginner's mind. Shoshin is the practice of approaching every situation with openness and without preconceptions. When you combine Mushin and Shoshin, you get something powerful, the ability to act quickly without being imprisoned by past failures or future fears. You are not making decisions based on who you used to be or who you are afraid of becoming. You are making decisions based on who you are right now in this moment. The samurai understood this deeply. They practiced something called keiko, which means to reflect on the past or to train. But the training was not just physical. It was mental and spiritual. They would practice sword movements thousands of times until the body moved without the mind's interference. This is not mindless repetition. This is training the body to be so fluent in the movement that the conscious mind is free to focus on the present moment. That is what you are doing when you practice Mushin with daily decisions. You are training your decision-making to be so fluent that you no longer waste energy deliberating. Let me tell you what Mushin is not about, because there is a misconception here. Mushin is not about productivity. It is not about making more decisions faster so you can check more boxes. It is about self-trust. It is about proving to yourself that you do not need endless analysis to make good choices. You do not need permission from your anxious mind to act. You do not need to predict every possible outcome before you move. You already have the intelligence. You already have the wisdom. You just need to stop drowning it in noise. What you are really seeking when you overthink is not the perfect decision. You are seeking proof that you are capable. You are seeking proof that you can handle whatever comes next. And the irony is that overthinking does not give you that proof. Action gives you that proof. Mushin gives you that proof. Every time you make a decision quickly and move forward, you are sending a signal to your nervous system that says, I am capable. I can handle this. That signal is what builds confidence, not thinking, doing. The ancient Japanese understood that the warrior's greatest enemy is not the opponent. It is hesitation. It is the voice in your head that says, wait, maybe I should consider one more option. Maybe I should ask one more person. Maybe I should think about this a little longer. That voice is not wisdom. It is fear. And every time you obey it, you are reinforcing the belief that you cannot trust yourself. Here is the synthesis of everything we have talked about. Mushin is a state of no mind where your deeper intelligence takes over. Neuroscience confirms that your subconscious processes information faster and more accurately than your conscious mind in complex situations. You train Mushin by making small, fast decisions consistently until your brain learns that immediate action is safe. The transformation is not just better decisions. It is the return of self-trust. You do not need to feel certain to move. You do not need to feel ready to start. You do not need to have all the answers to take the first step. The ancient Japanese understood what modern culture forgot, that clarity comes from action, not from thinking. Mushin is not about emptying your mind. It is about trusting that your mind already knows. Your job is to get out of the way and let it work. One decision, then another, then another. That is how you build the life you actually want. Not by thinking longer, by acting sooner. If you found this helpful, I create content like this every week to help you heal, grow, and improve your relationships using both modern science and ancient wisdom. Subscribing helps me reach more people who need this message. Mushin is not just a decision-making tool. It is a way of living, and you already have everything you need to start. You just have to trust it. Your intuition is not random. It is intelligent. It is time you started treating it that way.